I never expected her to stay. When Jessica arrived at our house, suitcase in one hand and a tired smile on her face, I assumed she'd be gone by the weekend. She said she just needed a few days to sort things out. I nodded politely, offering her the guest room without much thought. After all, she was my sister-in-law's childhood friend, and technically, family by proximity. She was soft-spoken, independent, and careful not to impose. But what none of us knew was how that short visit would reshape not only her life, but mine as well. It started with the sound of her laughter echoing through the house. At first, it was jarring. I was used to a quiet home ever since my wife Emily passed away 3 years ago. My daughter, Claire, had gone off to college, and the only company I kept was the hum of the television and the occasional chirp from my phone. But Jessica brought a kind of life back into the place I hadn't realized I was missing. She'd wake up early, always the first one downstairs, making coffee in the kitchen. She'd hum little tunes while reading the morning paper, usually barefoot and wrapped in a warm, oversized sweater. I often found myself lingering in the doorway, just watching her, not out of any particular motive but because it felt peaceful. Familiar in a way that surprised me. I learned quickly that she wasn't running from something. She was walking toward something new. After a messy breakup and leaving a job that drained her spirit, she decided to visit old friends and start fresh. Our home was the first stop on her list. But soon, days turned into weeks. My daughter, Claire, came home during her college break and took an immediate liking to Jessica. They cooked together, stayed up late watching mystery movies, and had long conversations on the back porch, sipping tea and stargazing. "Dad," Claire said one night, "you smile more when Jessica's around." I brushed off the comment with a chuckle, but her words stuck with me. Maybe it was true. Jessica had a way of making space feel full, without being loud or overbearing. She listened carefully, gave thoughtful advice, and had a laugh that made your chest ache in the best way. And yet, I told myself not to get too attached. She'd leave eventually. That's what guests do. But one evening changed everything. It was a stormy night in late October. The power flickered out during dinner, and we ended up lighting candles and huddling around the fireplace. Jessica pulled out her guitar, something I didn't even know she played, and started strumming a soft melody. Claire joined in, singing a tune they both seemed to know from years ago. I sat there watching them, the glow of the fire casting golden light on their faces. For the first time in a long while, my house didn't feel like a place of grief. It felt like home. It felt alive. When Jessica looked up and caught me watching her, she smiled. I felt something stir in my chest that I hadn't allowed myself to feel since Emily. Hope. That night, after Claire went to bed, Jessica and I stayed up, talking for hours. She told me about her fears, about not knowing what came next, about wondering if she'd made the right decisions. I shared my own story, how I felt lost after Emily passed, how hard it was raising Claire alone, and how I'd resigned myself to being alone. "You're not alone," Jessica said softly. "You've never been." I remember that night like it was yesterday. We didn't kiss, didn't cross any lines. But something unspoken passed between us, an understanding, a quiet shift. From that moment on, I saw her not as a guest, but as someone who belonged. Still, I didn't tell her how I felt. I was afraid it would scare her off, or worse, make her feel obligated. As the days grew shorter and the air colder, we began settling into a quiet rhythm. Jessica found a part-time job at the local bookstore. She started planting a small herb garden in the backyard. She took Claire to campus when it was time to return, and when she came back, she unpacked her suitcase for the first time. She moved her clothes into the guest room dresser. But still, no one said anything about her leaving. One evening, while decorating the Christmas tree, I finally gathered the courage. "You never really said how long you planned to stay," I said, trying to keep my voice casual. Jessica looked at me, placing a delicate glass ornament on the branch. "I didn't know when I got here. But now. I don't want to go." I swallowed hard. "I don't want you to go either." She stepped closer, her voice almost a whisper. "What does that mean, Mark?" I hesitated. Then I reached out, gently taking her hand. "It means this house wasn't home again until you walked in." That night, We shared our first kiss under the twinkling lights of the tree. It was slow and careful, full of questions and answers all at once. Neither of us rushed. We simply let the moment unfold. From then on, everything was different but also the same. We still had coffee in the mornings, still shared quiet moments by the fireplace. But now, we reached for each other's hands without hesitation. We went on walks through the neighborhood, sometimes holding hands, sometimes just walking in silence. We found a comfortable rhythm, two people who had known loss and were finally learning to love again. Claire was the first to give us her blessing. "You two make sense," she said, laughing. "I saw it way before you did." The neighbors noticed too. Some asked questions, others smiled knowingly. We didn't owe anyone an explanation. We were happy, and that was enough. By spring, Jessica had made her home here fully. She painted the guest room, turning it into a small studio where she worked on her art. She planted roses and sunflowers in the backyard. We took weekend trips, explored nearby towns, and created new traditions. It wasn't perfect, we had disagreements, moments of doubt, but love doesn't require perfection. It only asks for honesty and care. One warm evening in June, we sat out on the back porch, sipping lemonade, the sun setting behind the trees. I turned to her, heart pounding. "I never thought I'd find this again," I said. "Not after Emily." Jessica reached for my hand. "You didn't lose what you had with her. You're just making space for something new." Tears welled in my eyes. "Do you think it's too soon to ask you to stay forever?" She smiled, that same tired but genuine smile I remembered from the day she arrived. "Mark, I moved into your house, but somewhere along the way, I moved into your heart. I'm not going anywhere." We didn't rush into marriage or make grand announcements. Instead, we chose to live intentionally, lovingly, and quietly building a life that honored the past while embracing the future. Our love story wasn't about fireworks or dramatic confessions. It was about everyday moments, a shared laugh, a held hand, a whispered goodnight that slowly built something beautiful. Looking back, I realized life had given me a second chance, disguised in the form of a guest who was only supposed to stay for the weekend. But Jessica stayed much longer. And with each passing day, she taught me that love doesn't always come the way we expect it. Sometimes, it knocks gently, holding nothing but a suitcase and a quiet smile, asking not to be loved right away but simply to be let in. And letting her in was the best decision I ever made.